Highlights of a celebration of Bloomsday at the Irish American Heritage Museum in Albany, New York, June 16th, 2025.
Alone, she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh.
Book? Well, there is Finnegan's Wake, you know. I didn't prep this, Stan. Well, I'll do my best. The professor has said, don't wander now. Stay on topic, so I have to stick my nose in the text that she prepared for me. At any rate, I'd wander around and tell you stories all night. The critics and the professors are still trying to unknot Finnegan's Wake. But Ulysses, though, is something for me to hang my hat on. It takes place on a single day, June 16, 1904, which you've heard probably many times now. It's the very day that I met my own darling Nora. A wee slip of a thing. She was off from down from the country. I met her on Leinster Street in Dublin. There she was, just off from Finn's Hotel in her chambermaid's uniform. Ah, Ulysses. Ulysses immortalizes that very day. The story, it's about Leopold Bloom. He leaves his wife Molly in their bed at home at 7 Eccles Street in North Dublin for the day. He attends a funeral of his friend Paddy Dignam. He takes a bath. He has gorgonzola cheese for lunch. And I'm getting a whiff of it here. Either somebody just had some or we're going to have some later. He goes to the newspaper office to do a bit of advertising work. He stops in the library. He checks on his neighbor in the maternity hospital. He sits by the sea. He stops and chats with people he knows as he walks along. Sure, he's a grand man altogether. Each episode or chapter is an hour in his day. The novel is also about a younger man, Stephen Dedalus, who has had a falling out with his family. Stephen lives in a Martello tower on the South Dublin coast and is having what you might call flatmate issues. He does his own wandering during the day. He goes to the school where he's teaching, collects his pay for later shenanigans. He leaves early to walk along the beach, goes to the very same library where Bloom is reading the newspaper, and he meets his young doctor friends at the very same hospital where Bloom is checking in on his neighbor. The young lads are off for a night of drink, and here is where the paths of young Stephen and middle-aged Bloom blend together. Bloom worries that Stephen is in with a bad crowd, and he follows the lads to the pub, where Stephen proceeds to get snookered. Can you see the father-son theme developing here? Bloom, beside himself with worry for Stephen, then follows the lad to a house of ill repute, where, very modern as this, I had some hallucinations. Bloom next takes Stephen by the lapel to a tea shop and then home to sober him up. Stephen bids old Leopold adieu, the metaphorical fire now lit beneath him as he sets out to be an artist. And Bloom moves slowly up to bed to Molly. And now we have it. The linchpin of the whole grand day is herself. Last seen lounging in the marital bed at 8 a.m. in the morning, and not seen again till the very wee hours of the next morning, when Bloom wearily climbs the stairs after Stephen leaves. Molly, though, is on Bloom's mind every hour throughout the journey of his day, and thus on our minds as well. Molly is a singer, and Bloom has fretted all day. The meeting with her manager, Blazes Boyland, will take place in their marital bed. You all know what I'm getting at, the deep-rooted fear of all men.
Thank you, James. So that explains why June 16th is Bloomsday. But what about the title?
Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him by the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned,
In tribo ad altare Dei.
Halted, he peered down the dark winding stairs and called up coarsely.
Come up, Kinch. Come up, you fearful Jesuit.
Solemnly, he came forward and mounted the round gun rest. He faced about and blessed gravely thrice the tower, the surrounding country, and the awaking mountains. Then, catching sight of Stephen Dedalus, he bent towards him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. Stephen Dedalus, displeased and sleepy, leaned his arms on the top of the staircase and looked coldly at the shaking, gurgling face that blessed him, equine in its length, and at the light, untonsured hair, grained and hued like pale oak. Buck Mulligan peeped, an instant under the mirror, and then covered the bowl smartly.
Back to barracks.
He added in a preacher's tone.
For this, oh dearly beloved, is the genuine Christian, body and soul and blood and owns. Slow music, please. Shut your eyes, gents. One moment. A little trouble about those white corpuscles. Silence, all.
Stephen, Buck Mulligan, and guest, Haynes, leave the tower for a swim in the nearby 40-foot swimming area. Stephen walked on, waiting to be spoken to, trailing his ash plant by his side. Its ferrule followed lightly on the path, squealing at his heels.
My familiar after me calling Stephen, a wavering line along the path. They will walk on it tonight, coming here in the dark. He wants that key. It is mine. I paid the rent. Now I eat his salt bread. Give him the key too. All. He will ask for it. That was in his eyes.
Which you are requested, even enjoined, you must sing. And the chorus is, kidneys were in his mind. Okay? So when you hear that and that repeats, you just shout it out. Kidneys were in his mind. Mr. Leopold Bloom ate with relish the inner organs of beasts and fowl. He liked thick giblet soup, nutty gizzards, stuffed roast heart, liver slices fried with crust crumbs, hey, fried hen cods rose. But most of all, he liked grilled mutton kidneys. They gave to his palate a fine tang of faintly scented urine. Kidneys were in his mind as he moved around the kitchen softly. Kidneys were in his mind. Right in her breakfast thing on the humpy tray. Kidneys were in his mind.
All watched while through their windows, caps and hats lifted by passers.
Respect.
The carriage swerved from the tram track to the smoother road past Watery Lane. Mr. Bloom at gaze saw a lithe young man, clad in mourning, a wide hat.
Stephen.
In silence, they drove along Fisborough Road. An empty hearse trotted by, coming from the cemetery.
Looks relieved.
In the gates of Glasnevin, the carriage stopped and the men tumbled out, fixing their jackets and tapping their hats. The caretaker met them at the path between crooked stones and says to Cunningham,
Cunningham, did you hear that one about Mulcahy from the Coombe?
I did not.
They shook their silk hats in concert, and Hines inclined his ear. The caretaker hung his thumbs in the loops of his gold watch chain and spoke in a discreet tone to their vacant smiles.
They tell the story that two drunks came out here one foggy evening to look for the grave of a friend of theirs. They asked for Terence Mulcahy from the Coombe and were told where he was buried. After traipsing about in the fog, they found the grave, sure enough. One of the drunks spelt out the name. M-U-L-C-A-H-Y. The other drunk was blinking up at the statue of our Savior. The widow had got put up. And after blinking up at the sacred figure, he says, not a bloody bit like the man.
And the dog. And he asked Terry, was Martin Cunningham there?
Oh, Patty doo, did you hear the news going round? Shamrock is forbid by law, the brew on Irish ground. St. Patrick's Day no more, when his colours can't be seen. Oh, there's a blooming log in the wearing of the green. Met with Napper Tandy and he took me by the hand and says, how poor old Ireland and how does she stand? The most distressful country that ever yet was seen. They're hanging men and women here for the wearing of the green.